1. It is 3 in the morning. Your room is pitch black. Your body is practically begging for sleep, but your brain just abruptly grabbed the remote and turned the TV on maximum volume. Suddenly, you are wide awake. Your stomach drops, your chest tightens, all because your mind decided to hit play on a dusty cassette tape from 5 years ago. You are obsessively replaying that one painfully awkward sentence you blurted out to a stranger. Or maybe it is that argument you had just this morning, and you are lying there staring at the ceiling, finally coming up with the absolute perfect comeback hours after the door has already closed. Why does this happen? Why is it that when you are perfectly safe in your own bed, your mind transforms into a ruthless, inescapable courtroom, dragging you to the stand to judge your every single flaw? Take a deep breath. You are not losing your mind. You are not alone. And this is not just you being overly sensitive. There is a dark, fascinating reason your brain is doing this to you right now. 2. If you bring up a past argument, they call you petty. If you dwell on an old mistake, society says you are just insecure or that you hold grudges. But society has it completely wrong. You are not holding on to the past because you are weak or vindictive. You are doing it because your brain is currently executing a highly complex, albeit exhausting, protective protocol. In psychology, this endless mental loop has a specific name. It is called rumination. Imagine a cow chewing its cud, but instead of grass, your mind is endlessly chewing on its own psychological discomfort, trying to somehow digest it. But why does it do this? To understand the root cause, we have to look at a powerful cognitive phenomenon called the Zeigarnik effect. Discovered by a psychologist named Bluma Zeigarnik, this principle reveals a fascinating glitch in human cognition. Our brains are strictly hardwired to remember incomplete or interrupted tasks vividly, while easily forgetting the things we have already finished. This is exactly why that deeply awkward sentence from 5 years ago still haunts you. You might think that interaction ended the moment you walked away. But your subconscious strongly disagrees. To your brain, an unresolved, awkward social encounter is a corrupted file. It lacks absolute closure. It is a psychological cliffhanger. Because you never achieved an emotionally satisfying ending to that conversation, your mind refuses to put the file away. Instead, it forcefully reopens that exact folder when you are most vulnerable, forcing you to run endless virtual simulations, desperately trying to digitally repair a social script that has already been filmed. 3. Gemini Danoi. There is a cruel paradox at the heart of this endless mental loop. You might think that people who obsess over their past interactions are socially awkward or lack awareness. But usually, the exact opposite is true. If you are a chronic replayer, you likely possess an unusually high level of emotional intelligence and a razor-sharp sense of empathy. You are the kind of person who notices the subtle things that everyone else misses. A micro-expression. A sudden shift in the energy of a room. A slight hesitation in someone's voice. But here is the tragedy of that gift. Instead of using your highly calibrated emotional radar to navigate the world around you, you turn it entirely inward. You weaponize your own empathy against yourself. You spend hours ruthlessly dissecting a memory, overanalyzing every tiny furrow of a brow, every single breath the other person took, convinced that you are the villain in a story they have probably already forgotten. Consider the story of Min. A few days ago, during a high-pressure meeting, Min accidentally spoke over his manager. It was a completely harmless, momentary slip of the tongue. The manager did not even blink and forgot about it 3 seconds later. But for Min, time completely stopped. 3 days have passed, and on the outside, Min looks perfectly fine. He is smiling at his colleagues in the hallway. He is typing emails. He is quietly sipping his morning coffee. But beneath that calm surface, his mind is a chaotic, desperate writer's room. He is frantically drafting dozens of alternate branching storylines. What if I had just smiled and stayed quiet? What if I had apologized immediately? What if they all think I am entirely incompetent now? He is fighting a war that no one else can see. And this is where the true terror of rumination reveals itself. It is not just a mental exercise. It is a profoundly physical experience. Right now, Min might be lying down, wrapped in a heavy blanket in the absolute safety of his quiet bedroom. But his brain is actively broadcasting a severe threat signal. His stomach twists into tight, agonizing knots. His chest feels heavy. His heart races wildly, beating exactly as fast as it did during that split second of panic in the meeting room. His body cannot tell the difference between a real, present danger and a ghost from the past. His mind has literally hijacked his nervous system, dragging it back in time to suffer through the exact same physiological stress over and over again. This constant, involuntary time travel is the root cause of an invisible, crushing exhaustion. You often wonder why you feel so incredibly drained by the end of the day, even if you did nothing but sit at a desk. It is because while your physical body was sitting completely still, your mind was running a grueling emotional marathon. You are exhausted because you are constantly surviving things that are not even happening anymore. 4. Gemini Danai. To truly understand why your mind tortures you like this, we have to travel far back in time. Not just back to your childhood, but tens of thousands of years into the past. For our ancient ancestors, making a social mistake was not just a little embarrassing. It was an absolute death sentence. If you angered the group or failed to fit in, the tribe would cast you out into the wilderness. And out there, completely alone, you would not survive. Because of this, human beings evolved an intense, primal sensitivity to social threats. Your obsession with how others perceive you is not a weakness. It is a deeply ingrained survival instinct. Right now, inside your head, there is a fascinating power struggle happening between two neural systems. First, there is the default mode network. Think of this as the wanderer. This network turns on when you are finally resting, like when you are lying in bed, waiting for sleep. It is supposed to let your mind wander peacefully. But then, there is the amygdala. This is your brain's primitive alarm siren. When the wanderer turns on the mental projector, hoping to play some relaxing daydreams, the amygdala aggressively hijacks the control room. It snatches the tape, loads up your most awkward social blunders, and forces you to watch them on a continuous loop. The amygdala is desperately trying to make you study your mistakes, ensuring you learn the lesson so the modern tribe does not abandon you. And for some of us, this projector spins completely out of control. If you grew up with highly critical caregivers or in a household where you were constantly judged, your brain learned a very dark lesson early on. Your childhood essentially programmed your nervous system to believe that love and safety are highly conditional. Deep down, you carry the belief that one tiny mistake, one wrong word, or one awkward moment will result in immediate punishment or the devastating loss of affection. Your brain is not replaying the past to intentionally hurt you. It is replaying it to desperately figure out how to be absolutely perfect, hoping that if you are finally flawless, you will finally be safe. 5. It is very tempting to romanticize this behavior. You might quietly tell yourself that your constant overthinking just means you are deeply empathetic, or that it is some kind of profound superpower of self-awareness. But we have to be brutally honest here. This is not a superpower. It is a primitive defense mechanism that has severely malfunctioned. There is a very sharp, dangerous line between learning from a past mistake and endlessly torturing yourself over it. When this mental replay loop spins out of control, it completely stops being about growth or survival. it aggressively mutates into crippling anxiety. Your brain becomes trapped in a dark, psychological swamp of its own making. It starts pumping your bloodstream full of cortisol, the primary stress hormone, effectively poisoning your physical body over mere illusions. You are suffering over ghosts, over dead moments from a past that no longer exists anywhere except inside your head. At this point, you are no longer protecting yourself. You are simply destroying your own peace from the inside out. Trying to change the past by overthinking is exactly like trying to edit a movie that has already premiered in theaters. You can buy a ticket to see it as many times as you want. You can sit alone in the dark and cry over the scenes. You can scream at the screen, desperately begging the characters to just say something different. But the final cut is already printed. The ending will never, ever change. True liberation does not come from finally finding the perfect comeback. It comes from radical self-forgiveness. The next time you find yourself awake at 3 a.m. and that old tape starts playing again, do not panic. Take a deep breath, acknowledge the fear, and then, gently but firmly, whisper to your own mind, "All right, we survived that. We learned our lesson. Now it is time to turn off the projector." Do you often find yourself pulled awake at 3 a.m. to watch these old tapes? If so, please share your story in the comments below. There is someone lying awake in the dark right now who desperately needs to read your words, just to know they are not alone. If this video helped you find a little bit of peace, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and consider joining our Tam Lai Moi channel membership. Your support allows us to continue exploring the deep, complex world of the human mind together.